What's up everyone, Phil here for KO Gaming, and welcome to the Hateful Truth Rebooted. And the subject of today's review is indeed highly controversial, very polarizing. People have been talking about it for the entire past week, and many people have been teetering on the edge of a buy of this game or a skip. I'm here to review it fully and let you know what my full thoughts are on Far Cry Primal, which allows a lot of flexibility, but ultimately also creates confusion. You don't really know what's important and what's not. What will you get if you save this person? Should I go after this certain tribe and try to fight their boss right away? Or should I wait and try to do other optional content so that I can upgrade my weapons and armor and abilities before then? It's pretty confusing, and quite honestly, Far Cry Primal does not really give much guidance in regards of what you should be doing at any particular time. All they do is give you a little waypoints on your big mini-map. As you expand it, you can see them a little better, and you realize, I really don't know. Maybe I should just walk in one direction and just do random stuff and see what happens. Should I do this story-based mission? Is it even a story-based mission? The whole thing is very confusing and convoluted, more so than the previous Far Cry games, and in my opinion, that's a major negative. Now, I'm not the kind of person who wants to go out and endlessly spend time collecting different elements and hunting for animal skins so that I can upgrade my base camp. The bottom line is these people are Neanderthals. They don't need giant mansions to live in. So once I got everyone recruited into my camp and did their side missions, I decided to head out and head after the two rival tribes who were trying to take over the area in the game. It's going to be very tough because you will be facing waves and waves of enemies, and there's a big boss fight at the end of each of these camps that's incredibly cheap. And what I mean by that is that these bosses are tanks. You'll hit them with dozens and dozens of arrows and spears, and they will not go down. They will barely lose any health. Now, in one case, one boss actually had a unique element where if you hit stalactites or stalagmites, whatever they're called, off the ceiling and landed on his head, he would get stunned, and then you could do a takedown attack that did a significant amount of damage. So it was almost like a multi-step boss fight that you had to figure out. In the case of the other boss fight, I don't know what this game expected you to do. This girl would never come down from this ledge. She was just shooting arrows, and by the way, she had super keen eagle eyesight. Never missed a shot. Her arrows were on fire, and if she ever hit you with an arrow, you were left with almost no health. So you had to constantly be going behind cover, try to sneak in an arrow shot here or there, run around the area, gather other different elements so you could craft more arrows so you could keep shooting her. The fight is incredibly tedious, incredibly annoying, and then, by the way, she summons waves and waves of repetitive minions. Finally, she does come down from her perch, but guess what? Now, she's invincible. That's right. Until you kill all of the minions in the area, even if she goes to 0 HP in her life bar, she refuses to die. So it's really an annoying, tedious game mechanic. Should not be in the game in 2016. This actually happens multiple times during this game where you're trying to take one of these camps, but there's a boss level character. You're trying to kill them. They refuse to die. Then you realize, oh, I have to kill all the minions around them first, then I'll be able to finish off the boss. It's really stupid, it's bad game programming, and it doesn't belong in a retail release from a modern era. So now we head into my major gripe with the game. The ending, or lack of one. Allow me to explain. Eventually I went after the tribal bosses, and after you kill each tribal boss you will get a cutscene, which is nice. Once you reach certain kind of milestones in the story, you'll get a cutscene. And then ultimately, the game just left me wandering the open world, wondering what the hell I was supposed to do next. No credits ever played, nothing. And I was completely confused. What am I supposed to be doing in this game? And I did every story-based mission on the map besides upgrading everyone's hut to the max level, to the point where I said, if that's really what this game wants me to do, after playing it almost 17 hours, you want me to drop everything to spend another 3 to 4 repetitive hours grabbing these collection items? Screw you. And I walked away from the game, because there was nothing else left of interest to do. Come to find out, I did complete the game. What I did in the game, all the story-based stuff, was supposed to trigger the credits and an actual hidden cutscene after the credits. Apparently, my game bugged out. But this lends the question, why is the game so open-structured that you could get so lost and not know you're doing anything that's story-based and even know when the ending's supposed to come? It's a huge and critical design flaw. There is a thing known as being too open world, and unfortunately, that's what Far Cry Primal suffers from. You don't know where you're supposed to be going, what you're supposed to be doing, and I understand maybe why they did it. They wanted you to get immersed and wander around and not really care about what you're completing and complete it at your own pace. But without any kind of guidance to know what you were supposed to do to hit the criteria to end the game, you literally end up sitting there with your thumb up your butt saying, what comes next? I don't know. So I never saw the ending of Far Cry Primal. I never will see the ending of Far Cry Primal because apparently my game was glitched. A critical design flaw that's really annoying. Boy, am I glad I didn't spend several hours crafting these huts in my village just to find out I was supposed to see the ending anyway. That's a major detriment and a major problem with the game. So let's talk positives and negatives about Primal. Positives. First off, the graphics are great. Tons of different environmental locations. But now let's talk negatives. Oh boy. Number one, it's basically the same game as the previous Far Cry's. There's almost nothing original and new added to it. You do the same parkour, the same kind of combat. In fact, it's even more dumbed down in Primal than it has been in previous Far Cry games, and there's very few moments where you're like, wow, this feels like kind of a first thing I'm ever doing. It really does feel like they just took the engine, slapped it into a new game, and sold it for $60 to try to make a quick buck, and that kind of sucks. Number two, lack of a structured narrative. In a lot of games, an open world, do it at your own pace and in your own order kind of an idea works. In Far Cry Primal, it does not. In fact, it falls flat on its face. You never actually feel while playing the game that you think you're doing the right thing or that you're actually working towards an end goal. You don't even know what your end goal is. And ultimately, I could see people just getting confused and or lost in this game and just putting it down and never getting back to it because you don't have an end destination. When you're on a journey, you want to know what your end goal is, and if you don't know, what's the purpose of even taking the journey? That's the problem with Far Cry Primal. They just throw you in, you're expected to just do things on the map because they're there, you don't know why the hell you're doing them 95% of the time, and it just becomes a convoluted mess. Of course, I've got to call out the archaic game design. When you get near the end of this game, the final 20%, when you're trying to take over these final bosses and their settlements, and you find that you cannot kill the boss until all the minions around them are dead, I just don't understand this design choice. It's something that you would do in like the 1980s to extend the length of a game that maybe they thought was too easy or, you know, wasn't very long, so they had to up the challenge. This is something that should not ever be done in modern times. It's a cop-out. It's the definition of artificial difficulty. If I deplete the boss's energy bar, the final hit should kill the fucking boss. Period. I don't ever want to see this in another game again, and it frustrated the living shit out of me. And of course, we do have to call out the fact that I didn't actually get the ending of the game despite completing all of the criteria that were required to see it. Unfortunately, it seems this game does have bugs within its open world mission structure, and that's a major negative that needs to be called out in this review. But what I can tell you is this: the amount of enjoyment you're going to get out of this game is directly representative to how much you've liked the gameplay of those past 3 Far Cry games, especially if you've already played them. I'll be honest, I probably once again will say I would have liked Far Cry Primal better if it were the first Far Cry game I'd ever played. So if you liked the previous games and you want more of the same, you'll probably like Far Cry Primal. If you never played a Far Cry game before, maybe you'll like Far Cry Primal. But if you've either played any of the previous games, I don't know if I can even recommend this one. So weighing and balancing everything against all the games I've played recently and everything, and the fact there's bugs in the game and it's tedious, and I have to be honest, I'm going to give Far Cry Primal a 7 out of 10. I cannot say this is a bad game, because really it's not bad. It's just tedious, annoying, and just too much more of the same if you've played the previous games. I can't say it's Game of the Year because there's really nothing original about it, but I certainly can't talk shit and say it's not a functional game because for the most part it is, despite a few really archaic design choices. So I give it a 7 out of 10. Be with that as it will, whatever you think. If you want to check it out or not based off of this review, good luck, but I certainly cannot recommend this game because I just thought it was more of the same. That is it for the Hateful Truth Rebooted. I hope that you liked it, everyone, and if you did, please check the video description for a link over to my raw playthrough of Far Cry Primal, which can be found on my gaming channel, DSP Gaming. In addition, please check out our Amazon Associates link, as well as my Patreon at patreon.com/DarksidePhil. Thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you next time on the Hateful Truth.